So everybody has been talking about, at least in the Apple tech community, everyone's been talking about the 2020 iPad Pros that Apple launched, or at least announced on Wednesday, and the included keyboard. However, people haven't been talking as much about the new MacBook Airs that Apple has launched along with the new iPad Pros. This is something else that was probably going to be announced at Apple's March event that obviously didn't happen because you know what's happening in the world right now, and so they just dropped it on their website on Wednesday. And this is more than just a very small processor upgrade stat bump compared to the last MacBook Air. I don't actually remember when the last time the MacBook Air was updated was, but the 2020 MacBook Air does have quite a few new things in store, and I think it's pretty exciting, so I'm just going to try to list them off here real quick. Apple was not super clear on what exactly was new or not, or what exactly was improved in this model, but there is some stuff they're pretty clear on, and so that's what I'm going to be covering here today, and just giving you an idea of what is new with these 2020 MacBook Airs. What's probably most exciting for me in these new MacBook Airs is the processor options, because I'm always a sucker for power in any kind of electronic device, horsepower, and these MacBook Airs do come with a pretty significant upgrade. The base $999 or basically $1,000 model MacBook Air comes with an Intel Core i3 that is a dual core, but that can be upgraded to an i5 for $100 and an Intel i7 for $250 on top of the base price, $150 on top of the i5. And that Intel i5 and Intel i7 are both quad-core processors, which is the most exciting thing I've seen out of these MacBook Airs so far. The jump from dual-core to quad-core really does make a big difference, and I think it is time that we move on from dual-core notebooks. I mean, your phone isn't even dual-core anymore, at least most newer smartphones are not, so it just makes sense. It's unfortunate that the base MacBook Air still comes with a dual-core processor, but any processor upgrade to the i5 or i7 does get you a quad-core, and so I'm trying not to go too much into my thoughts on this video and just give you the objective what's new, but I just wanted to go ahead and say if you are going to buy one of these, I think definitely spend the extra $100 at least to go up to the quad-core i5, because going from a dual-core to a quad-core processor really does make a difference. The base clocks on all of the processors for this MacBook Air are a little bit scary. So you have 1.1 gigahertz on the i3, 1.1 gigahertz as well on the i5, and 1.2 gigahertz on the i7. Like, literally my old iPhone 6 that runs as slow as a turtle has a faster processor than the base clock on these MacBook Airs. Fortunately, they are capable of turbo boosting up to 3.2 gigahertz on the i3, 3.5 gigahertz on the i5, and 3.8 gigahertz on the i7, which is pretty dang good for this type of laptop. Now, we'll see with the thermal performance if it's actually able to get up that high. What'll happen is it'll process at that top threshold, 3.2, 3.5, and 3.8 respectively for those three processors, whichever one you get. It's going to run at that speed, and as the computer starts to heat up, it'll lower the speed to prevent the computer from overheating itself, so the computer's ability to cool itself off in the environment with the internal fan, all that will determine how fast it actually runs. But I really hope that it doesn't slow down to those base clock speeds, because that's kind of terrifying. Another internal upgrade with these MacBook Airs is the ability to go up to 2 terabytes of SSD storage if you want to. Why the industry would want to make you think that we're moving toward a cloud-based society where everything's on the internet and you don't have to worry about anything anymore. The truth is, stuff is still taking up a lot of space on our devices, and if you're someone like me, you want to store as much stuff on device as you possibly can, and so the ability to go up to 2 terabytes is nice, though if you're not going to upgrade that far, there isn't another difference in your storage for this model. Now, I said that I was most excited about the processor upgrade, but what most people are going to be most excited for is that the keyboard has been replaced on this. Instead of having the very controversial butterfly keyboard, it now has Apple's new Magic keyboard. It's a refined scissor mechanism that has the low key travel and all that good stuff from the butterfly keyboard, but basically without the stuff people didn't like about the butterfly keyboard. So supposedly these don't get jammed and they feel a little bit more like keys instead of little clicky buttons. Personally, I liked the butterfly keyboard. I'm in the minority on that, so that's why it's not as exciting for me for them to go to the Magic keyboard. But I mean, if you really hate the butterfly keys, then this might be worth it for you. Also, they've got their inverted T arrow keys, which basically just means that instead of being full keys, the right and left arrow keys are smaller and shrunk down to the bottom. I think that's pretty stupid as well. I liked my full-size arrow keys, so, I mean, whatever. Apple is also claiming that these have new speakers that have twice as much bass, 25% more volume, and I'm not exactly sure if the microphone array is new or not. Again, they're a little bit unclear on what exactly is new in these, but new speakers. This is also apparently the first MacBook Air that it supports 6K external displays. So if you were to buy one of Apple's stupidly expensive Pro Display XDRs, it wouldn't actually work with the MacBook Air before. It was only with MacBook Pros, but it now works with MacBook Air as well this year. Also, the new 10th generation Intel chips on this MacBook Air come with Intel Iris Plus graphics, which is a higher graphics protocol than was used on previous MacBook Airs, and the graphics performance is apparently 80% better than it was before. Still wouldn't game on the MacBook Air if I were you. That just isn't a wise idea. Apple claims that the quad-core Intel i7 in these MacBook Airs achieves twice the CPU performance of the processors in the last generation of MacBook Air. Like I said, quad-core makes a big difference. This is a big moment for Apple computing, that we're finally moving on from dual-core CPUs in their low-end computers. So please do not buy the dual-core MacBook Air, but get the quad-core so we can move on. You'll thank me later. And that is pretty much it with these MacBook Airs. Unfortunately, no Wi-Fi 6. I did go check on that. No Wi-Fi 6, so that's kind of unfortunate. But it is a really nice upgrade, and a much bigger upgrade than I would have expected in March for the MacBook Air, with the quad-core processors, better graphics performance, new speakers, the new keyboard that everyone's apparently going to love because everyone apparently hated the butterfly keyboard, and support for 6K external displays. I understand that the vast majority of the Mac market is focused on this MacBook Air because the vast majority of people buying Macs don't need a powerhouse like a 15 or 16 inch MacBook Pro, and maybe the MacBook Pro 13 inch just isn't as appealing. Just most people think this MacBook Air is really appealing, so these upgrades are very nice and welcome. I'd be happy to hear in the comments below what you guys want to see on other MacBook Airs in the future, and what you think about these upgrades, and if there's anything that I missed because Apple's website was a little bit unclear about these. And hopefully I'll be able to talk about this MacBook Air as well as the iPad Pro, my more in-depth thoughts a little bit later once I've thought over a little bit. And I'll see you guys hopefully in other videos very soon. With all the mess going on in the outside world right now, I'm just going to be right in here trying to work on content and stuff, so that's going to be great. This is going to be the most variety entertainment you guys have had in a long time, so get ready. If you're stuck in your house as well, which I think most of America is right now, you can enjoy my content as a way to pass the time, and I'll see you guys later. Oh, also, out of the 3 products that Apple announced on Wednesday, the 2020 iPad Pro, Magic Keyboard, and the MacBook Air, the MacBook Air is the only one that's actually also released on Wednesday. We have to wait on the iPad and the keyboard, but you can literally go order a MacBook Air right now, have it shipped directly to you. It's officially released now. So that's pretty cool.